This video is going to address the questions of why would I want to build food forests, native plant gardens in people's yards and people's lawns? Isn't it a lot to maintain? Isn't that an inefficient way to do environmental conservation, to renovate our agricultural system? And ultimately, the answer to this question is resolved by the fact that we pour massive amounts of resources into our grass lawns, and we can simply redistribute those efforts, that money, that energy, and those resources into something that is actually lower maintenance, long-term, and costs less. So overall, it is actually going to free up effort, money, and time. And so compared to just going and finding an empty field and building a food forest to feed everyone, if we just take the, I think, 40 million acres, I might be wrong on that, in the United States that's currently being used to grow grass lawns, which are pretty much useless. You can have some to play on, to run around, that's fine, but in every single yard, unnecessary. We mow it every week, we dump chemicals into it. I mean, just the fact that you're lowering the amount of chemicals that are being put into waterways, synthetic fertilizers, for the most part, should be enough to realize that this is a really good place to revamp the system. So a food forest does take some kind of maintenance, especially at the beginning. Long term, the idea is that it is very low maintenance and it can be pretty much zero maintenance after a couple years if done properly. So the reason that I want to build these small food forests in people's lawns, yes, it is small, but overall I want to expand that effort. And as far as like, why do we have grass lawns? It's pretty simple. We just have a cultural ideology. We've just been programmed because we adopted this standard. It's a wealth flex standard. In old Europe, rich people would have grass lawns. Everyone else would go grow food. Overall, I want to shift the mindset, the ideology, and contribute to that. It's going to be no problem when the ideology shifts for everyone to go and just do this. Instead of, there's really no extra capital, no extra effort needs to be put into this process. All that needs to happen is that people stop putting the money and time into companies that maintain their grass lawn and take that money and time and put it into companies that install, maintain, and make use of even native plants, food forest ecosystems, and all of that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff we could do to build food forests, to work on our ecosystems. But this is just an area where everyone is putting time, whether they pay someone to do it, they put their own time and effort into maintaining their lawn. So people already are marshaling those resources. We can simply redirect those efforts into native plants, food forests. Another big part of this, although it is a small area, is that having little islands of habitat is actually good for conservation. Having 1 acre's worth of wildflowers spread out in little chunks around a whole city is going to do more for the bees than having a 1 acre wilderness area of wildflowers. And yeah, so people can have a relationship with these areas, or they can just pay someone to maintain it. They don't have to come once a week like lawnmower people do. Just like with people's lawns, some people like to be out in the lawn trimming their edges, making it look neat and perfect. Some people just want it to look nice. They want to have someone else take care of it. So that's why I like the idea of building food forests in people's yards. I would like to expand to schools, but schools do the same thing. They hire someone to mow their big lawn. Ultimately, I'd like to see the cornfields get regenerated, the cornfields get fixed. And again, that's something that's more of an ideological shift. We already are putting a massive amount of resources into growing corn, bringing that corn to concentrated feedlot operations, feeding that to cows and cattle. And we could simply take that land and do regenerative rotational cattle grazing. It's just an ideological shift that needs to happen at a collective basis, and then we'll marshal our resources differently. So for me, building these gardens in people's yards is something I do. If you want that to happen, if you want a free consultation, I'll look at your yard remotely and give you some pointers, free resources. And if it's a good fit, I will build or just design a food forest and native plant garden for you. If you're interested in that, reach out to me. Obviously, we'll have to do a lot more talking before we get to that point. And I'll send you some resources. eternalharvestgardens@gmail.com. We're out here in California. This is a little gem. I've always wanted to go here and just never did. But now I'm visiting Red Rock Canyon in the Santa Ana Mountains. So yeah, that's the video. The next one, if you like this video, is going to be about basically the same topic, but in the context of industrial agriculture. Peace.